Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by GeneralsJoesReborn.com with me, Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostik80. For today's episode, I'm joined by the awesome General himself, Justin Generals Joe's Bell. In this regular video series, we round up all the week's news in the world of G.I. Joe. What is it, Justin?
It's the Full Force Weekly.
Correct.
It's much easier than the movie one.
It's the Full Force movie news first weekly roundup. The date, what we're covering on it. You're right. It's much easier. I thought I'd trip you up on that. And no, you're a consummate professional.
I'm a professional. Come on.
Of course
Who are you talking to here?
Of course you are. Look all the gym equipment around you. Of course you're a professional.
I don't know what I'm a professional of, but I am a professional of some sort.
Professional con artist, maybe? No, I'm kidding. How are you doing, buddy? It's been a while since you've been on, but it's been a while since we've done this, just the two of us.
Yeah, no, I'm doing good. Doing good. Life is a little crazy, but as always. But no, I'm doing all right.
Awesome.
Can't complain, I guess. How about you?
Yeah, good. Other than Pat being a no-show today, you can all have a go at Pat for not turning up today. He's clearly, I'm just going to give him the day off, let's face it, because he's obviously having a tough week at work. So, Pat will be back next week. For now, you've got me and Justin getting you through the news this week, which it's not a bad thing, is it?
Nah, I mean, we got it.
It's still the dream team, surely.
It's 2/3 of a dream team, but that's all right. It's 2/3 is good enough, I think.
Exactly. 2 turds. Right, then let's get into the week's news, which there wasn't a massive amount, but I think there's probably a lot of talking points within these as well that we can get into. And we'll start off, Justin, in Hasbro news. Without getting into too much detail, and then I go into loads of detail, it's been a rough couple of years for everybody on planet Earth. In 2020, while everyone suffered with a complete change in lifestyle with the threat of a global pandemic straight out of a disaster movie, Hasbro struggled to battle against a global shipping crisis, price increases on materials, and huge manufacturing issues, with fewer people being able to work in their overseas factories. That battle continued into 2021, but thanks to a huge campaign to steady the ship, no pun intended, stop laughing so much, Justin, with price increases on products, more pre-orders, and a significant bump at the end of the year with a bevy of HasLab projects, it looks as though it has had the desired effect for the company. Hasbro posted revenue and profit gains in its consumer products business for the fourth quarter and full year fiscal 2021. Revenue in the company's consumer products segment rose 9% for both quarter 4 and the full year. In that segment, operating profit rose by more modest 2.9% for the quarter, but was up more than 30% for the fiscal year. Company-wide, Hasbro revenue was up 17% for quarter 4 and the full fiscal year, ending 2021 with $6.4 billion in revenue.
Wow.
Try and get your head around that. While operating profit fell in quarter 4 by 8%, it was up 52% for the full fiscal year. The initial disruptions globally actually had a different effect for the largest companies like Hasbro, whereby the lack of product available created a real consumer demand, an effect that Hasbro were able to take advantage of by being able to come up with the money, negotiating leverage, and general scale to find ways of getting their products shipped in the first place, something a lot of the smaller companies just couldn't compete with. Adding to this, they also saw growth in other areas such as their gaming segment, which includes digital gaming and the Wizards of the Coast role-playing game subsidiary, which posted revenue growth of 42%. Surprisingly, their entertainment segment also increased by 27%, probably helped by branded media products such as the My Little Pony feature and Transformers animated series that ran on Netflix. This news follows fresh on the heels of Hasbro raising prices again across all their products, and I fully expect them to continue with their assault on our wallets with more pre-orders, store exclusives, and HasLab projects, which all create huge spikes in revenue for the company. Simply stated, expect more. Justin, obviously this came fresh off the back of Hasbro raising their prices. Do you see this as like a concern for collectors getting priced out? We'll start with that first. I mean, do you think Hasbro needs to be careful here?
Yeah, I think they need to be a little careful. I mean, there's one of the byproducts, I think, of Hasbro licensing out G.I. Joe to so many different manufacturers is that they can create some competition against themselves, and maybe, and granted, while they have kind of cornered the market on the 6-inch G.I. Joe brand, I mean, if a devoted Sunbow fan has to choose between the G.I. Joe Classified line or the Ultimates from Super 7, maybe they go the Super Sevens direction. I mean, they just, if their budget can't stretch quite as far as Hasbro would like it to, sometimes they'll have to make some choices. And even if it's not choices within GI Joe, it might be choices elsewhere. Like, I've been a Transformers collector in years past, and because of rising costs and things, I can't anymore. So while I'm still devoting a lot of income to GI Joe, Hasbro isn't seeing my Transformers dollars, which I mean, it's a drop, the tiniest possible drop in the bucket. When you look at it from that perspective, but still, if I'm sure I'm not alone. I'm sure there's lots of other people that kind of are facing the same hard choices that have to be made. And I find it interesting. It's kind of ironic. I was just watching an interview with Brian Flynn from Super 7, who talked to Dan, to Pixel Dan, and he was mentioning some kind of similar, not really concerns, but a viewpoint that lots of fans don't understand, is that manufacturers have to be careful, how they offer product, when they offer product, because you can't like keep on tapping the same audience repeatedly in short terms, just keep on providing GI Joe and GI Joe and GI Joe. I've heard a lot of people, when it comes to like Boss Fight Studio or even Hasbro sometimes, why are they making that product? I don't like that product. Why don't they stick to this other product? And what you have to realize is they have to be sensitive to how much collectors can afford, and rather than doing, wave upon wave upon wave upon wave of huge numbers of classified figures, they have to kind of stagger it out a little bit and try to find a balance where they're not overwhelming their collector base with too much cost. And if they're raising prices, that's going to impact that. And when you start looking at Marvel Legends and Transformers and Star Wars and GI Joe and even like Power Rangers and Fortnite, they're going to run the risk of people not being able to spread their dollars quite so far, which could impact revenue, especially as it scales out to larger audiences. So I think they do have to be careful. If you're just talking about GI Joe specifically, it's not a big deal, I don't think, because Classified has a pretty decent release cadence where they seem to release figures every few months. You're getting a relatively consistent stream of product, here and there, but it's not overwhelming.
Small waves help, I think. And I think I've heard a lot of people saying things like they want like 6 figures a wave. I wish they could move to like 4 or 6 figures a wave. But like, I think at the moment, like I'm looking at my shelf and it's only been 2 years. Like and that has gone fast. Those 2 years have gone rapid. And I look at the what we've had, and it is mind blowing. And I'm just thinking, like, I'm cool with the speed that it's going. The pace is totally fine. So, I agree with a lot of that. And I think in terms of the kind of like, general inflation, like normal natural inflation of how prices rise, and it's funny how prices rise constantly. It never seems to be wages. So
good point.
Yeah. So like you've got that kind of like inflation kind of cost going up in general. Anyway, I think there's been almost like an accelerated rate that's happened, thanks mainly due to COVID and the issues and the material prices, costs going up and all that kind of stuff. So like I totally get those reasons for it, and I still think Classified, like we'll probably find out when we get those pre-orders later in the month, we'll see exactly where we are with the price of Classified figures. But I still like, it still feels like a good range to be in. Like, we're getting decent quality figures, we're getting like you say, like a regular release schedule now is kind of like falling into place. And I'm kind of cool with that pace. Like, I'm like, I'm cool with that. Like, let's keep it going like this. And I think, I can keep on top of it. It feels like Classified specifically feels like a very manageable line to collect, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it definitely does. Yeah, I think they've really hit that balance pretty well. And I keep on mentioning Marvel Legends, but I can't imagine being a Legends collector right now and just getting hammered with build a figure wave after build a figure wave, where you're like almost compelled to buy every single figure in order to build the final figure that's included in the wave, and just how expensive that is going to get down the line, and just how people can manage to sort of afford that from a dollar perspective and a space perspective. And also, I mean, and a different, looking at it from a different angle, I mean, Hasbro's got to be careful. I mean, they're going to G.I. Joe's got a very deep roster, but they've also got a lot of C and D string characters that aren't necessarily going to
fly
jump
off the
off
shelves,
store pegs, so they have to be careful. They
like hit and
can't,
run, like hit and run's just going to peg wall.
be the hottest selling classified figure ever. Get out of here.
I have to start a battle with you now about a specific figure. Like Pat and I would always moan between version 4 and version 3 of Snake Eyes. With you now, I've just got to attack hit and run, even though I love hit and run. I love hit and run. What we're talking about, but you know what I mean. This is all. This is all kayfabe. This is all full force kayfabe. That's what this is. Anyway, yeah. Sorry, carry on.
But yeah, I mean, you start talking about 6 figures a wave. You start talking about 3 waves a year, and it's not going to take very long before Hasbro starts running into the problem they had with the 25th anniversary line, where you needed to kind of rely on the G.I. Joe Collectors Club to fill in some of those gaps that Hasbro was just unwilling to do. And you're going to get into some similar. You could get into some similar situations with classified. So it's just they've got to be careful. They got to kind of stretch this out. They got to take advantage of the wide and deep roster, release it at a steady pace, but keep it manageable. And I think they've reached a really great balance. I mean, if you look throughout what's coming the rest of 2022, I mean, there's still a lot of product that seems to be in the pipeline that will likely arrive by the end of the year. So you're looking for, over the next 10 months, probably, I haven't counted precisely, but you're probably looking at at least a dozen, probably maybe even 24 figures over the next 10 months, and of various different sizes and price points or whatever. So I think it's pretty reasonable to expect a relatively steady release schedule of really cool figures that'll keep you occupied throughout the rest of the year without worrying about, not quite so much, the quick sellouts, because, that's obviously been an issue in the past. If you're not right on target.com at the exact right time, you're going to miss out.
Stay on target.
Yeah, they've seemed to be better as far as that goes. I was able to pre-order the Python Patrol and Tiger Force figures without a whole lot of difficulty, and from what I've heard, other people, say the same.
Other people have been able to order them from Amazon, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. No kidding. They're so easy to find. They're showing up when you're not expecting it. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think I Classified is in a pretty decent place, I think, right now as far as availability and release schedule and pricing and all that stuff. I think they're kind of a step ahead of a lot of others. The Marvel Legends' Transformers feels like a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Star Wars, I feel like, is maybe not enough. But Classified is it really has hit that middle ground well, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't mean necessarily to kind of focus this directly towards Classified. I'm going to broaden a little bit here and say, obviously this is working. Whatever Hasbro did last year to negate some of these issues seemed like worked for them, because obviously they've just posted a revenue increase, which is what you want to do as a big company. So they seem to be doing the right things in the environment they're in. What I think I might be concerned with is them doing it again and again and again at speed, if you know what I mean. Like, doing it too soon. Maybe like prices go up again a little bit again, like within the year, which I could see them probably holding off till the end of the year. But, when you see those kind of returns, it's easy to kind of like, I think like a lot of companies have done it. Hasbro have done it themselves, where they just kind of, people want more of this. And so it's like, and it's working for us. So let's just keep doing it. Let's pour out more and more and more. And let's rise. And you might get to the point where everyone is like, oh, geez, like, it was, maybe it was the initial excitement factor that had a lot to do with like the big numbers early on. I don't know. There's a lot of moving cogs here, and I'm guessing they're obviously very careful with this, but I don't want it to get to the point where we've got another 3 or 4 HasLabs this year, and because I feel like that's another thing. I know it's a kind of separate conversation, but there were 3 right on top of each other at the end of the year.
Yeah,
there had just been a few earlier that year as well in different brands. So, like, coming into this year, are you expecting to see even more HasLab projects, even though that's probably something you'd want it to be a bit more kind of like isolated, special, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they run a risk a little bit of diluting sort of the HasLab brand, so to speak, where it was a showcase at one point where it was like everybody built up to the HasLab, and there was this, precious item that was a high price point that you could support and get excited about. And it was very much an event-focused sort of thing. Announcing it and revealing it was an event. But then you run into, like you said, you start stacking them on top of each other, and it's no longer an event. It's just another product that's more expensive and is a little bit trickier to obtain. Not trickier, but there's
harder to manage, isn't
funding.
it?
Yeah, exactly. So I think they do run that risk, and I think they do have to be careful of that. I think it's it's easy, like you said, to see the success, even though they struggled with the Rancor, to see the success with that format. I know
it makes me so sad, especially with no spoiler alert.
Right.
But if you haven't seen the Book of Boba Fett yet, I'm just going to say this without saying it. I kind of wish they'd held off on that until maybe now, or like maybe during the show, because I feel like it would have had way more impact. But anyway, that's without
timing seems very strange.
Yeah,
to be honest with you, I mean, it really seems like that was purpose built for happening now. Especially with the fact that it didn't include the Rancor Keeper could have been a hint that maybe it wasn't the Rancor from Return of the Jedi, but was perhaps something else. And if they'd, like you said, no spoilers, but there could have been ways to, I think, entice people to buy it at this point in history rather than a few months ago.
Even though we kind of just spoiled it, we didn't spoil it. I think you can I'm sure if you haven't seen it yet, and you're probably not going to, or you're probably not that fussed about it, I imagine. Apologies if again, you can always skip this. That's fine as well. Anyway,
I don't think that's a huge spoiler. No. I mean, yeah, it depends on where you are in the series. I mean, the Rancor made its presence known, I think, only a couple episodes in, so maybe 3 episodes or 4 episodes in. So hopefully anybody who's really wanted to see Book of Boba Fett has seen it by now.
I was sad at the time, though. I was sad at the time when it didn't make it. I was kind of like, oh, really? I feel like it should exist. I feel like there should definitely exist in the Black Series, but anyway, hopefully they find a way of doing it at some point.
I wouldn't be surprised if they take another whack at it.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
I think they shot themselves in the foot, a few different ways, and I think they could course correct and try to get it back out there and maybe be more successful.
They accidentally cut themselves with their own Darksaber.
Exactly.
There we go. There's another spoiler for you. Right. Right. Okay. Yeah. So that is effectively. Justin and I have sorted all the issues out in the world. There you go, done, perfect.
You're welcome.
It's been an odd year, but obviously a profitable one for Hasbro. So I guess long may it continue because we're getting cool stuff out of it. But there is that side issue, isn't there, of the rising costs? G.I. Joe: The Rise of Costs. It's the next movie, guaranteed. Now I have to create some sort of. Photoshop where it says that now.
Absolutely.
I can't be bothered. So you might see that, but you probably won't, depending on how much time I have to do this. Anyway, just
get Brian Sauer to do it for you.
Why have I been doing that when I should be getting Brian to do everything? Right, let's get on to the next topic, and this is a quite interesting story in Amazon news. Not the rainforest, but Toys News International posted a story of a customer, John DB, who had ordered 6 Alley Vipers from Amazon only to receive 3 Alley Vipers and 3 brand new Target exclusive Python Patrol Vipers. He stated that they did indeed come directly from Amazon and not a third-party seller, which is, to my knowledge, a first in regards to this sort of thing. The post also revealed images of the packaging, including the new cardback design, which is really cool and depicts a jungle environment with those similar computer-generated zoom graphics on certain areas of the card. The Python Patrol logo is emblazoned on the front and back in place of any Special Missions Cobra Island imagery from the previous exclusive range, so I would imagine Outback will get the Tiger Force logo in its place. The box number is 42, and that gorgeous artwork by Anthony Petrie is displayed in the usual place. How John ended up with these is a mystery, but with everything going on with the world in terms of shipping and so on, it's also not a massive surprise either. I could see many other customers having similar luck if they also ordered some Alley Vipers, so we will keep our eyes open for any other interesting glitches in the Matrix like this in the near future. However, I will add to this, Justin, before I pose the first question here to you. Well, actually, I'll just pose a question to you, and therefore the statement will make sense. Do you think this is a legitimate mistake, or do you think maybe they were obtained in other ways on the spotlight?
I think it was a legitimate mistake. I think, we're at the point now where people get things from overseas. I don't think they're shy about it. I don't think they would make up side stories to cover their tracks, so to speak. It's a very bizarre mistake, but I think it was probably a legitimate mistake. Don't ask me how it happened, the logistics of how that happened. I mean, it could have just happened in the factory. They may have just, the Python Patrol Vipers may have just ended up sealed within an Alley Viper case, and rather than being handed over here, they went over here. And
I can tell you, if I worked in that factory, that would probably have happened many other times before.
Yeah.
You're right. I guess it's definitely a possibility that something could just go a little bit wonky in that area, or like a box that was never meant to be packed necessarily, and sent off kind of ends up in, on its way to Amazon. And then what in my head, this is how I imagine it happened, right? That accident happens, the box gets taped up and someone accidentally puts it on the pile, right? It goes out to Amazon consignment, gets to the droid factory, which is what I call it.
Might as well be. And
then a droid, one of the little, I don't know what it would be, like what's the one that explodes in A New Hope and they end up picking R2 up instead?
Oh, jeez. Is it the little, it's not the little box one, is it, with the little,
not
the
Gonk?
Glonk
Not the Gonk.
No,
he's like a little taller than an R2, and he's got like a kind of trapezium-shaped head. Like it's not circular, anyway.
I can picture it, but I don't recall the name of all those different robots.
Let us know in the comments, guys. And basically, and also, you're highlighting our terrible Star Wars fandom here as well.
Yeah, I'm a shameful Star Wars nerd.
I love Star Wars, but I
do too.
Terrible at the names.
I mean, if this was 25 years, I mean, during the Power of the Force era, when there was no G.I. Joe, and I was a devoted Star Wars collector. I bought every single figure that was out that are now worth pennies on the dollar. Yeah. And I could have told you back then, but now that part of my brain has been filled with other things.
That's the thing, isn't it? I've deleted so many files; it's ridiculous. Anyway,
yeah.
I see that droid going in, picking out picking up the 6, zipping over to the thing, putting and packing it. No human interaction whatsoever. Picked up by a drone, dropped off at this guy's house. He's opened. I'm living in the future already. He's opened it, and lo and behold, this has happened. Yeah.
I mean, when Skynet's in charge, anything. I mean, he's lucky it was Alley Vipers and Python Patrol Vipers, and not venomous serpents or something.
Yeah, anthrax. I think if Skynet did it, they would have given him the correct 6 Alley Vipers. They'd have scanned the boxes individually.
Yeah.
Oh, mate. Anyway, yeah. So, really, I mean, do you ever get this have you ever had something like this? Not say exactly like this, but have you ever ordered something? Because, we had all those people ordering based on a random code word they found on Walmart. And they ordered it not knowing, and it turned out to be the brand new figure.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I ever have. I've done a lot of online ordering. I don't think I've really ordered blind things that I wasn't aware of, or ordered something and gotten something totally different. I don't think so. No, this is definitely a new one on me. It's pretty unusual, especially because the Viper is a Target exclusive. That's the bizarre thing. It's not even something that Amazon would normally carry. Exactly. So it's really weird.
Yeah, I have no idea, unfortunately. But yeah, it just seems like a quirky little glitch in the matrix, and somebody ends up with 3 Python Patrol Vipers. In any case, maybe they're on their way very soon. Who knows? I mean, it seems like they could just be around the corner, couldn't they?
Yeah, I think that's the untold story in this, is that there are packaged versions of the Python Patrol Vipers out there, and if this mistake did happen, it's potential. There's a potential that they were being manufactured at the same time as the Alley Vipers, and the Alley Vipers have been somewhat available at retail for almost a month or so now. So I think the real news of this event is that we should be seeing, I would think, Python Patrol Alley Viper or Viper shortly. I don't remember what the street date is on those things, but
the 32nd of Nevuary, I believe.
Right around the corner then.
Right around the non-existent corner. What do you think of the packaging? Because I quite like that. Obviously, the back is completely different because we've got this new kind of jungle aesthetic. What are your thoughts on that? Because obviously, Cobra Island was. I kind of thought I'm a bit mixed on this because I thought Cobra Island was this beautiful kind of looking thing, but had loads of things you could kind of pick out just randomly. What are you thinking about this one?
It's nice. It's not quite as cool as Cobra Island. I wish that they could include some more little Easter eggs in these things. Like it'd have been like the Cobra Island setup was cool. I don't recall if there was a whole lot of sort of, I don't think you saw like an actual terradrome in there or anything like that. I think you saw some of the geography and some vaguely Cobra looking structures maybe.
I'm pretty sure there were terradromes on there, mate.
There were terradromes? Okay.
Pretty sure. I'll just while you're talking, I'll just double check.
I might be remembering that wrong, but looking at this, there's a jungle and there's like you said, the cool computerized graphics, but it would be cool if there was like some more Easter eggs, like maybe a rattler flying through the air in the background or something like that. Just other little things that you could kind of study and look at rather than just a pretty general jungle scene. But I love that they do it. I mean, it's clearly putting a lot of time and effort into the package design and trying to make it, unique but themed across the product line. It'd be kind of cool if there was sort of like a jigsaw puzzle mechanism to it where the back of each figure had a different scene that kind of slotted together. I mean, that would be pretty cool too.
I can confirm, Justin, that there is a terradrome looking creature on the back of that. There's also a couple of giant snake head kind of things as well, which are quite cool. I mean, there's loads of fun little things on there.
There is.
You're right. There's not like a lot of like clear Easter eggs necessarily.
Yeah, I remember really liking the design. Like there's a volcano that's kind of like boiling, and there's some, like you said, some really cool snake themed structures. But I guess I was kind of talking about like something that is a distinctive Cobra thing.
Like Cobra Commander waving from the top of the
exactly.
volcano.
Yeah, or sitting in the castle like showing his ass or something. I mean, I don't know, something like that. But
it would be his ass.
His ass.
Yes. Yeah, no, definitely. Now I'm thinking of the ass tank. Sorry, I'll stop now. Someone designed that and put it in the comments. Right, that's a bad idea, isn't it? What was I going to say? Okay. In terms, what I do like, and something I haven't actually seen yet, is the interior. There's that like little interior backing kind of bit of art they usually have in there. That's kind of like a close up. Like the Cobra Island one was great because it had like vehicles in it, and it had the island looking from like the kind of like the ground level looking at it. So I'd like to see what they do with that. Like maybe if they throw a couple of like, I don't know, like a few things in there. There could be some quite interesting things in that artwork.
It could be, yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the things that Classified is doing. One of the many things that it's doing really well is just kind of treating the artwork like artwork, like really using it to sort of sell the whole package.
Absolutely. You're more of a fan of the Cobra Island original than this one at the moment, do you think?
At the moment, yeah, but I mean, I've seen the pictures online of the back of this package. I haven't really gotten it, checked it out fully yet. But yeah, I really like how the Cobra Island was sort of designed and oriented. So I mean, we'll see. This one might appeal to me in some way. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I can't recall, at least not yet, that they've released a larger box for the Tiger Force thing. I'm sure there's something in the works, but right now it's just been the Python Patrol. Viper, and the Outback, and the Bat, right?
There is a plan, isn't there? That leaked information from a thing that says Duke and a vehicle, Crater and a vehicle.
That's where we'll see kind of the full blown. So I remember looking at the one that came with the Baroness and the motorcycle first, and I think came with Breaker and the Ram afterwards. Yeah. But it really like showed the full landscape view, and that was the one that was really great. So I think that maybe that's what I'll look for before I make any big judgments as far as how good it is.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen like some actual I suppose a lot of people are just selling them if they've got them in hand, haven't they? Which is a shame. But for those that do actually get them and start, I want to see some pictures of that interior. I really do.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Anyway, right. Well, that's it for for the Amazon news this week. Kind of Amazon funny as well because it's like it's jungle we're talking about as well, so that's interesting. Anyway, let's move on to the last story of the week, and that is in Flame Toys news. Flame Toys have really been pushing on with their G.I. Joe license with the recent appearance of their Snake Eyes Furai model kits in US stores, and now they have fully revealed their upcoming Hito Karakuri Snake Eyes figure Paintmaster at the Akihabara Radio Hall in Tokyo. The Akihabara Radio Kaiken, as it's known, has this and a number of other new products on show, which is open to the public. It's the first time we have seen all the accessories that the figure comes with, which include a very cool futuristic conical hat, which looks like it has night vision, a pistol with silencer, a modular assault rifle with numerous attachments, 2 very interesting curved blades, a standard knife, 4 gnarly looking shuriken, 2 throwing knives, his classic sword, and a second huge sword with a serrated back edge. He also looks to come with a cool figure stand, sheath for the swords, and 2 robotic arms that attach to his back in order to control the rifle and swords. Adding to all of that, it does appear as though he can carry all of that loadout, which is incredible. Seeing the figure in all of his glory really is a sight to behold. I love the idea of making him a sort of futuristic samurai, and the aesthetic and all the accessories really pushes this one into realms of badassery I wasn't aware existed yet. If he's anything like the Arkham Knight figure they've released in the past, then expect him to stand at just over 7 inches in height and cost just over $200. I have to say, when Flame Toys announced this figure and showed the input drawings last year, I wasn't completely sold on him. However, seeing the final form with all the cool accessories and storage options really makes this a desirable figure for any display. The detail on the sculpt is outstanding, and the exaggerated proportions created by the beautifully designed armour really give this figure a wow factor. It's like Snake Eyes but in the Star Wars universe, and that just makes me want him more. No information regarding price or pre-orders just yet, but expect that soon. Justin, what are your thoughts of this? I mean, did it hit you as hard as it hit me?
Oh yeah, it knocked me on my ass. I mean, this for a 7-inch figure, $200, I don't think I will bite the bullet on that. But looking at kind of the full image with all the different accessories, with the kind of robotic arms attached to his back that allow him to hold, his machine gun and the other sword. And I mean, while most G.I. Joe fans are like, give me hardcore military, Call of Duty, camouflage, whatever, I am all about, get as futuristic and as badass as you can. And what I really love about this Snake Eyes, it looks like some kind of futuristic amalgamation of Snake Eyes and like the Metal Gear universe with like this like completely hulked out armor. And I really, really love it. I think it's pretty fantastic. And if it was a little bit lower price, I would almost definitely bite the bullet. I don't think I can swing $200 for a 7-inch figure. But if I could, because this is the kind of figure too that you don't really need a full collection to complement. You can just put this Snake Eyes on display and he can kind of live on his own. So you don't have to worry about, how am I going to afford to buy a whole roster of Flame Toys, figures, because this could be a one-off and it just looks badass enough to exist on its own. I think they'd struggle to do something like Duke in this kind of format. I think it really works for Snake Eyes. I think it could potentially work for Storm Shadow if it decided to do a Storm Shadow. It's a great looking figure, and it's really unusual, which I love. It's not the same old Snake Eyes you've seen time and time again.
What makes me excited at the thought of Storm Shadow, because I mean that's where we're going, isn't it? I mean, they've done the Furai models, they've done Snake Eyes, they've done Storm Shadow, they're both their bikes. With this obviously being a bigger figure and highly articulated, it's an actual built as an action figure. It's not a model kit. So this is like, this is kind of high-end stuff, especially at that price as well. But when I saw the input, I had to admit I was kind of like, yeah, it's okay. But it's like, the big thighs and everything. I kind of thought like, it's a little, I get what they're doing, but it's probably not for me. Yeah. When I saw the first reveal of it, like in a grayscale figure, I was like, oh, that's nice. It's okay. Again, like I'm, not that fussed still. I saw a Paintmaster reveal not too long ago at a show where it was just the figure again, but this time it was painted. And I'm like, okay, yeah, it's nice, but still not grabbing me. As soon as they put the hat on it, with the night vision, like, kind of goggles.
That is really awesome.
Amazing. I just love that fusion of like samurai aesthetic with armor, with futuristic mech kind of thing. I just love all that amalgamation stuck together. It actually, to me, I think it works so well, and it doesn't have to fit with anything else you have. Like you say, it just is a standalone, like breathtaking, cool piece to have. But yeah, like I'm probably in the same boat as you. Like I've kind of pared down with all of the exterior merch going on, and I don't think I'll be getting this, but if the opportunity arises and we're in a good position, then I might have to pick one up, because it is just so cool looking.
It is.
And the thought, like I was saying, the thought of doing Storm Shadow, could you imagine like his bow and like all the things and bits and pieces he could come with?
That would be pretty amazing. Yeah, they could do some really sick stuff with Storm Shadow for sure. just going all out, yeah, with like this body armor, like you said, his bow and arrow is. I mean, they could do. It could be really awesome. Be amazing.
I'd be really up for a Storm Shadow in this kind of
Yeah.
style. But anyway, yeah, so that is on display right now. And one other thing I want to talk to you about, which is really cool, how neat are those like robotic kind of arms that hold the gun and the sword on his back? And
That's the kind of stuff that I love. I mean, just like I said, it's not the Snake Eyes that you've seen time and time and time again. And I know, a lot of the fans of G.I. Joe in the 80s, grew up during kind of the Cold War, and they really want their special forces military, Call of Duty kind of army guys. But I am all about how can you really trick this out, make it sci-fi, but make it still feel like G.I. Joe.
yeah,
And I really think they've captured it uniquely here, and after 40 years, you start to, what could they do with Snake Eyes to make them different? And this is unlike any Snake Eyes I've ever seen before, which is part of its appeal to me. It's something new and exciting.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the Hito Karakuri Snake Eyes on display, like I said, in Tokyo at the moment. Great to see it finally kind of revealed in terms of accessories and what it's going to come with. So awesome. And we'll keep you up to date with any other news on that, price, scale, all that kind of stuff that will come out very soon. And I'm sure Flame Toys are going to be posting images of this all over the place eventually. So yeah, we'll be on top of that kind of 9 hours later, how I do,
One thing they didn't actually show in those pictures, though, are different hands, and it's clear he comes with a bunch, because in one picture he had like 2 fingers up, and another one he's got his fingers kind of splayed out. So he definitely comes with more hands too. That was something they didn't show, which would be interesting to see.
Good spot. I definitely failed on picking that one up, so thank you, Justin, for adding that. And that just dropped today as we record as well, so it's been a bit of a whirlwind getting that out. But again, yeah, there you go. Hito Karakuri. Let us know in the comments if you're into this, if it's not your thing. We want to hear what you kind of like about it, and are you digging it like we are? I mean, aesthetically, that thing is just outstanding. So can't wait to see it in the flesh. Anyway, right, Justin, that's the end of the news this week. Let's get into some shout outs, shall we? Which actually, oddly enough, does contain a bit of news. Hey there, guys. Just wanted to let you know about an app that I've been helping to develop for a few years now called Hoarder. But what is Hoarder, I hear you scream? Well, a number of years ago, I discussed a project with a good friend of mine and now co-owner/developer about an app that could help collectors of all shapes and sizes. I'm talking about the shapes and sizes of the collections, really, but also people. The app would be a place where you could share your new items, build collections and sub-collections, or just browse the feed to see cool things. Well, we made it. We tested it for a number of years, and now it's out there for you to enjoy on iOS or Android devices. You can upload a single item at a time at your own pace and slowly build your collections. You can post status updates that could be related to your collections, like getting a delivery or posting a scene in which you can tag items in that image if you've uploaded them in the past. You can add tags to your items in order to easily search for and find them, and of course to add them into your respective collections. You can like posts, comment on them, or start a conversation with a fellow collector, directly message users you follow, and even add items you see on your feed to your want list. If you prefer to use your computer or laptop, have no fear, you can use the website browser version and even utilise the awesome inventory option, allowing any user to change certain details, add notes, upload bulk items from spreadsheet files, and download a CSV of your entire itemised collection. We made this app for collectors, and we hope that you enjoy using it as much as we enjoyed creating it. Now get to hoarding. Okay then, so shout-outs, buddy. You can start. You're the guest today. You're the guest host today. Any shout-outs this week?
Not so much a shout out, but I received something. I got my Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow O-ring figures from Hasbro
show
Pulse.
Put them up on this camera on a scene.
I'm excited about.
Cute. They are so cool.
The only kind of frustration I have is that
start with a negative.
The arms are like, the left arm on both of them is like crazy loose, which is kind of, I don't know. It feels like one of the things I was looking forward to with these O-ring figures is kind of how the new modern construction could kind of improve on the older version. But that really sort of disappointed me a little bit. But I don't know if that's prevailing across all sorts of them. I haven't heard many people complaining about it, but in the grand scheme of things, that's relatively minor. It's kind of cool to, I ripping blisters off of packages isn't a feeling that I've had in a while, and so that was a lot of fun. And I'm digging them overall. So I think this is kind of a cool sign of some things to come. I am still looking forward to seeing what they do differently, than the vintage versions, but this is a pretty decent start, and I'm excited to see what else is to come.
I have to say, I prefer the card backs and the bubbles on those than to the ones we've just seen with the 6-inch figures, because I feel like there's like that kind of attempt to kind of separate some of the weapon accessories into a separate part of the bubble and do that again. Like I like what they've done there. I miss that white border. I don't know what it's about that white border. It feels like sturdier with a white border.
There's something about it. Yeah, something about it.
But anyway, cool, man.
And I also want to give a shout out to James Kavanaugh, who looks like he's got another project kind of in the works.
Yeah.
I think everybody knows James from the Real American Hero Collection books, and anybody who's gone to JoeCon knows James very well.
Whether you wanted to or not.
Everybody gets exposed to James in one way or another at JoeCon. But he's officially announced the G.I. Joe Fan Club, which is a project that he's been working on for some time and is starting to bubble out to the public, which is pretty exciting. I don't want to say a whole lot about it, but I hope to be involved in some way, shape, or form. So I think this is going to be a pretty cool project. I think it's something that, Classified has sort of reignited the collector fire a little bit. And with G.I. Joe being as prevalent as it is across all these different manufacturers, I think it's a great time for a fan club to sort of come back to the surface, and with new sort of platforms, social media and stuff like that, there's some more really interesting stuff that can be done in that area that doesn't rely on, hand stapled newsletters being mailed out to people. So I'm really excited to kind of see where this goes. I'm really excited to be involved, and hopefully everybody can go to the G.I. Joe Fan Club Facebook page, give it a like, follow them on Twitter, and just pay attention to whatever new news is coming out, because I think it's going to be pretty exciting. Links
in the description. I'll also add to that, Justin. James will be coming on the show on Monday to talk about all that.
Fantastic.
So we'll be kind of delving into that in more detail with James. So big shout out to Cav and everyone involved in that. I know there's a lot of people involved. I'm not going to name names right now. I'll save that till Monday. A lot of names involved in that one. So in the community and the fandom and everything. So really excited to see what he's got to say about all that. And it's been interesting seeing that kind of develop a little bit. And then obviously the press release went out this past week. With a lot of information on it. So if you want to go check out, like Justin said, any of the links below, we posted it as well on Full Force and on Generals Joe's Facebook pages as well, and Twitter feeds. So you'll be able to find it fairly easily. Just go in the links below. It's easy. It's definitely the easiest, right? And you can check that out in full. And like I said, we'll be speaking to James on Monday. So that should be kind of fun. All right, cool. Any other shout outs, Justin?
I did just want to say congrats to, I don't know if we said it last week or not, but I think Carson just ended his 3D Joe's Kickstarter and hit, I think, like $350,000 or something insane like that. I don't know what.
Unreal.
We keep on talking about how Hasbro is pricing people out, but all these action figure Kickstarters are raking in 6 figures. So, I mean, must be, I guess our Joe fans are doing okay for themselves. But big congrats to him, and pretty exciting stuff.
It's when you take into consideration Skeletron and that. I mean, that, wow. I mean, you're close to $1 million in terms of revenue and in terms of crowd-funded money for that. That's
it's insane.
Unbelievable.
Totally insane.
So big shout out to Carson, massive shout out to the fandom for supporting it, and obviously we had, speaking of Skeletron, which I just mentioned there, I'll start with one of my shout outs. We had Ben and Mark jump on from the Skeletron crew. Sounds like a skeleton crew. The Skeletron team interview that we did with them a couple of days ago, which you can check out on our YouTube channel as well. And they were, again, we spoke about Carson as well in that. I'm just blown away. We also talked a little bit about Wordburglar and the project we're working on for Skeletron, the record as well, which has been added to the backer kit. So if you want any information about all of that stuff, you can go check that out Also interviewed Wordburglar in the week. I've been busy this week, Justin, like crazy busy.
Wow.
And we discussed his new MacGuffin Device LP, Vinyl Bandcamp Kickstarter. Vinyl Bandcamp crowdfund, I should say, not Kickstarter at all. But that is actually doing amazing at the moment. And when we started that, I think it was on 80%. And now it's on 90, and I'm taking full responsibility for the 10% bump on that one. I'm joking, of course, but yeah. So we've been speaking to like Wordburglar, Ben, Mark, all those guys from SKELETRON. So it's been a busy week, and if you're interested in any of that and you haven't checked it out, go check it out right now. Who else? I'm going to shout out. I'll reverse to the start of my shout outs where I had to segue there. Let's go back to all of my family. To my wonderful wife, Kate, love you all very much. And to little Phoebes, who's not anywhere near me right now. And I will say, I'm shouting out Phoebes anyway because of you, because you're on the show, Justin.
Had flashbacks again.
Yeah, it's like going back to Nam. And also obviously to Brian Sauer for the awesome Winter Ninja Force Storm Shadow version 3 graphics, which again are just amazing. We're still in winter, still snow outside, so it's it's going to be, I feel like it's just going to be there forever. Already shouted out James Cav, obviously. Again, you can look forward to that interview on Monday. And the one more thing I wanted to mention on the show while we're here, Justin, is something we spoke about on the Skeletron interview, and obviously related to the RoboSkull Mark II box art, and that is that legendary artist Ian Kennedy sadly passed away last weekend. He was a great man, wonderful artist, like I said, responsible for so many pieces, including that box art for the RoboSkull Mark II. Our thoughts are with his family at this difficult time, so I just wanted to say rest in peace to Ian Kennedy, and he will be sorely missed.
Like you said, an amazing artist. He was kind of a crux of the Action Force history back then, and I think he's definitely a talent that will be missed.
I mean, the amount of amazing, like the work that was being kind of highlighted by other artists, by other industry professionals when they were kind of the outpouring of support and everything, and it just the amount of stuff that you forget that he had a hand in, and you're talking about 73 years or something like that. Of
unbelievable,
and still working up to his passing. So sad. And like I said, our thoughts out to his family, and rest in peace, Ian Kennedy. Okay, then. I think that's it. I think that's us, mate. I think we've done finally. We had a little bit of a mistake in the middle, where for some random reason Zoom just hates me sometimes and just says, "You know what? I'm just going to stop working, and then you can faff about for 10 minutes."
I think it's the British accent. I think it kind of gets on its nerves after a little while. Just sort of kicks you out.
I feel personally attacked by Justin Bell there.
I didn't say it was me. I said it was Zoom.
That felt like there was a real feeling of like legitimacy in that statement.
Yeah,
mate. No fire without smoke. No smoke without fire. I don't know what I'm talking about. Right. Of course, we continue to support the LGBTQ plus community, and as always, stand fast with the Asian and Pacific Islander communities in saying stop Asian hate. We do not discriminate against any minority and want the show to be a fun and safe environment for anybody, no matter their background, even Justin Bell.
Even me,
even though you don't watch it because you've been on it. You don't need to watch this again. To our patron,
I'm a full force subscriber. What are you talking about?
I would hope that you watch yourself back, because I do that all the time. I'm such a vain, egotistical douchebag. It is not even funny. If ever I'm on a show with someone, I'm like, oh yeah, I might check that out now and watch it all the way through.
Nothing wrong with it.
It's terrible. Nothing wrong with it. Terrible. I'm horrible. Anyway, to our patrons, listeners, and viewers, thank you so much. We keep clawing you in one by one. You're jumping on board with us all the time. So massive thank you to all the support. We really appreciate it. It makes the show kind of get better and better. And that's one of the driving forces behind it. So thank you so much, if not the main driving force behind it. So thank you guys very much, and we've got some amazing intel coming for you very soon. I've been dropping intel like a like a crazy machine recently, and also doing a lot of live Patreon specials, so like Q&As, which have been going on really well. So we'll do more of those, guys. Probably got another one next week, so keep it locked on there. Justin, buddy, thank you so much for jumping on, mate. Really appreciate it.
No problem. My pleasure. Happy to fill in.
I don't know how we managed to get like an hour out of that, but we did, didn't we? More or less.
We did, yeah. There was hardly any news and still managed to stretch it out.
We're good at that. We just talk. We could talk for our respective countries.
Ramble on, yeah.
If there was an Olympic event for talking, we'd be all over it.
Imagine if Patrick had actually even showed up, had bothered to show his face, then it probably would have gone even longer.
That sounded like the real scorn, real scorn in that.
Now.
Just like if he'd bothered to show his face.
Pulled his ass out of bed. And sorry, Pat. I love you.
We love you very, very much, Pat. And we'll get you on next week, buddy. So have no fear. And that's us. Right. That brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you for watching the Full Force Weekly. Massive thank you to my awesome co-host, Justin Generals Joes Bell. See you next time. And as always, 1, 2, 3...
Full Force!
Amazing. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/TheFullForce, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.